Alright, so we got some Remnant 2 news. This is going to be about the new prison system, which is going to be a very good revamp and overhaul to what was previously the rune fragments. Now you do see where the original rune fragment aspect of this system carries over. Here, let me zoom this in a little bit. So you can see here where it says fragments, fire rate plus, mild damage plus, still damage plus. That's the carryover. That's from what we had before with your rune fragments that you could upgrade at I can't remember his name, the Yatian guy who would call you Paxeltech at the Horde. At the Horde, you would upgrade these. And it's probably going to be very similar where to upgrade your fragments completely, you have to have an apocalypse rolled campaign or adventure. Go to the world in that apocalypse, go to the ward in that apocalypse adventure or campaign, and you'll be able to spend your relic dust to max out your fragments as much as possible. Now, this prism thing looks interesting. It looks like it's not only a buff, but a more in-depth system to progress farther into the end game. And I am hoping there's going to be some more challenge to come with this. The last couple DLCs on Apocalypse, despite the crazy healing tank builds we have been pretty challenging and fun. So let's see here. We have learning about our new all-around power enhancement system. When setting out to create our endgame system, our primary goal was to ensure players would be able to convert time spent into meaningful power increases. We also wanted to make sure that the power increases... Okay, so this all makes sense. So, Prisms, a brand new power boosting system that's part of a free update coming alongside the final DLC, The Dark Horizon, on 9/24 this upcoming Tuesday. I will be live playing it, of course, obviously. Sure, you know that by now if you're even managing to watch any of my videos. So let's see. So before we dive into this fragment system, foundation, understanding the core of the prison system throughout our journey, fragments can be found in chests. Yep, we discussed that a little bit. And yeah, at Dwell. So Dwell is his name. He's the vendor in Ward 13 that you previously have been able to upgrade them entirely through. And yep, so here is the levels. You have your cracked, which is your very basic just found ones, all the way up to your level 31 mythic, which is, like I was saying, that tier you can increase them at completely, spending your relic dust. So there were previously 39 unique fragments. They removed about 14 or so and added 20 new stats in return, bringing the total to 45 possible choices. Okay. Be interested to see what I lost out on. Knowing my luck, all of my bonus health, bonus defense stuff is what they took out. So players can now slot up to three fragments at one time with our totally reworked Fragment UI. Fragments are now decoupled from the relic. Thank you. And can easily be slotted and unslotted with a simple click. That is awesome. That is... Like the relic slot thing on the fragment slot thing on the relic was cool. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry, I'm not bringing up the wiki on a YouTube video because the person who originally made it did some shady stuff on Twitch. But basically, you had your relic, which is basically your healing item or your main buff that would most of the time be at the center of your build. And you would have 3 slots that would allow you to put in these relic fragments, and it would give you a buff depending on how much you would level them up. Alright, so in a nutshell, a prism is a container for fragment buffs. Any stat buff that's obtainable as a fragment can also be obtained within a prism. In fact, they can also reach the exact same power level. This means that if you have a 10% critical damage fragment, you'll also be able to, with a little luck, obtain a 10% critical damage in your prisms. Yeah, that's pretty insane. So basically, like, for a lot of these fragments, it sounds like they're gonna be in some ways just doubling their effectiveness. But as we see here, they will be adding some RNG to the ability to have those things. So you can still have your fragment, your rune fragment, that's extremely potent and powerful and is still going to make your build insane. But if you want to go to that next level and really grind it out to the max, now you have a way to do that. So at baseline, the Prism has 5 slots for buffs. Each buff is earned through experience gain and chosen from a selection of 3 of all 45 when the player levels up the Prism. When a Prism is ready to level up, it glows, and an in-game HUD element reminds the player that they have enhancements available. Clicking the Prism will bring the buff selection screen, and the player chooses one out of the 3 present. So I guess that's where the luck comes in, is whenever you have an enhancement available, you'll be able to select out of a specific set of choices. So yeah, you will be able to make your own choice, but it'll, you know. Okay. You'll be able to make your own choice, but it'll be more options. I don't know. I think it's overall a good thing. I think that in terms of new player experience, this will be a lot more straightforward compared to the rune fragment system. I've had a lot of trouble in the past explaining to friends I play with how exactly the rune fragment system works, and they'll dump tons of relic dust wondering why they're not leveling up their runes anymore, but it's because they're not on high enough of a difficulty in order to max them out. So in the example below, the Prism was leveled up a few more times by grinding out XP, kills, quests, etc., and a few more choices have been selected. When leveling up a Prism, your choices matter because you want to make a cohesive creation. Remember that the fragment slots above the Prism can be changed, so depending on what you put into your Prism, you may end up mixing and matching or even double stacking when given the choice to add a new stat. The Prism is really starting to take shape. Final shape, hahaha. We have fire rate for a nice damage boost. We have some health and stamina to increase our durability and utility. And we also have reload speed to make sure our weapon is always loaded. So, if I'm able to take the fragments I already have maxed out, which are all blue, which increase my defense, increase my health, and I think the other one increases regen. So if I'm able to then, with my prison, build in some more damage, that'd be crazy. I mean, like, yeah, I could build in with my prism just to even more defense and whatnot, but if I'm able to add more damage on top to my tank build, the medic summoner tank build, I'm sure many of you are aware of, that is just, it's just insane. The prism is really starting to take shape. We have, we read that already. Each of these stats go to +10, and as mentioned before, the maximum value matches the maximum value of a level 31 mythic fragment stat. Double stacking can become quite powerful for builds that really lean into certain stats. Yeah. So like I said, that could really be crazy for your tank build, making your health bar just absolutely insanely huge, giving yourself even more damage resistance when we have lots of ways to reduce our dodge class while wearing that Leto power armor that is insanely heavy. So feeding a fragment to a prism will destroy the fragment, and depending on the quality of the fragment fed, skew the roll chances of the stat. In the image below, we sacrifice a mythic ranged critical chance fragment to obtain the maximum roll chance buff. It isn't guaranteed, but it's more likely to appear over time, which is why having more slots open is a good idea when sacrificing a fragment. Okay. We'll also just mess with this when we get it. It seems mostly straightforward though. It's a good thing everyone saves some extra relic dust, right? I'm pretty sure I don't even have much. Dwell will be happy to accept it to help you obtain any missing fragments, but you can also just play the game and get them that way. You should really be doing both. You should absolutely be doing both. You should be visiting Dwell to obtain any missing ones, but you should also be re-rolling your adventures, re-rolling your campaigns, and acquiring them naturally as well. So yeah, you can see on the very next roll, the ranged critical roll rolled for them because of the increased chance it's going to have, which is good. And I like that they have this bar here, this chance bar that you can fill up. That's like a a feature that you would never expect to see in an RNG system. Like think like Destiny. Destiny would never give you a bar that says, "Hey, you've worked towards this chance of rolling a thing." Like Bungie would never do that. Just never. So a roll chance buff will remain until it is no longer valid. If your buff stat is already leveled to +10, it will disappear since it's no longer needed. It also goes away once the prism is fully leveled to 50. Alright. So there we know right there that the prism will go all the way up to 50 levels. I'm assuming there'll be their own tiers of XP levels. Similar to how for all the archetypes you have your XP leveling that you must do. So with this buff in place, each time we roll, we are much more like, yeah, we did just read that. Yeah, and then it showed up again on the very next roll. So that's, I mean, it's really cool. This is going to be a cool system. I'm sure there's a lot more info down here that we could check out about it. This is awesome. On top of like the crazy build crafting you already have, having this grindy end game on the side sort of system to just buff yourself even more. I like it a lot. I like it quite a lot. I'm very excited to get my hands on with this system. It feels like the kind of thing maybe I've been looking for, kinda, in order to make my builds even crazier. So yeah, it'll be fun. Currently, we are live on Twitch. We've been playing Satisfactory pretty much since 1.0 dropped about a week and a half ago. We will, of course, be live on September 24th playing the new Remnant 2 DLC, jumping in on Apocalypse immediately, of course. We've done everything in the game at this point on Apocalypse, pretty much. So make sure you hit the Twitch link in the description. Pop over there, drop a follow so you can hang out with us. Depending on what time allows and how long it takes me to do the DLC, you never know. Maybe we'll be doing some helps. Now I will be doing the new boss rush, of course. I don't see any info in here about the new boss rush mode, but they are going to be featuring that. And I cannot wait to see how they're going to be introducing that. So it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment. Peace.